Welcome to another episode of Quick Question with top producing Twin Cities Realtor Dave Oswald. Now, join Dave as he answers your questions about residential real estate.
You know, if you ask me what are the top three questions I'm asked these days, this is one of the top three. And it's this: when will my home be worth what it was at the peak? Richard Tucker is a Coldwell Banker branch vice president and the immediate past president of the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors and a 30-year veteran of the real estate industry. Richard, what caused the crash in the first place? Let's go there first.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge question. There's lots of economists that have lots of different theories as to what caused the crash. I think one of the things is basic supply and demand. I think there are really two primary factors. One is if you go back to 2002 and 2003 in the Twin City marketplace, we had about 12,000 units for sale. When the market crashed, we had about 36,000 units for sale.
Three times
times normal in what we had. And one of the things, if you look at any of the historical charts, what they'll show is that the demand was running around 9,000 to 10,000 units of people purchasing homes. And so we had a seller's market because we didn't have a lot of inventory. And as the prices went up, more and more homes came on the market. And as you recall in that market, that was when you were really starting out. That was, people were writing offers on the hood of cars because there wasn't a lot of inventory. Right. Prices were going up. We got to a point where the inventory hit a tipping point. And at 36,000 units, we had more inventory on the market than we had buyers for it. That combined with a lot of other economic factors, one of which was the mortgage selling part of the equation. And
they were really giving mortgages to anybody that could fog a mirror, right?
Well, and if you really stop and go back and look at historically, mortgages were banks lending their assets to people for the purposes of buying a home and getting a return on that money. What changed, and when the syndication of mortgages came into practice, originally banks had skin in that game. If you defaulted, that was assets of the bank. Well, what happened was it became a practice where everybody in the transaction was making money, but nobody had any skin in the game except for some unfortunate investor overseas or in some pension fund that got a piece of a syndicated mortgage that unfortunately was rated higher than what the real economic value was.
So the local banks would bundle up these mortgages.
It wasn't even the local banks. What it really became was mortgage salespeople who would work for large institutions. They would go out and literally look for people to buy mortgages. They would, the amount of money that they had wasn't really relevant because they just wanted you to be able to get a mortgage. They would bundle these and sell these. The syndication part of that was an enormous part of the collapse. And when the issues on Wall Street began to impact that because the amount of leverage that they had in these syndicated mortgages, and when people began to not be able to make the payments, it began a seismic shift that rippled all the way through the market. And with the abundance of inventory and the economic downturn,
it was kind of the perfect storm.
And everything came tumbling down.
Yeah, and then we had a lack of consumer confidence, and the whole economy started to.
Absolutely.
I mean, so goes the housing market, goes the economy.
Absolutely, and so now we've come to a point where there's a much more steady environment.
Yeah.
Consumer confidence is up, and the inventory, as you know, is quite a bit lower, quite a different turn. In fact, we're running about 12,000, 13,000 units.
So we're back to where we were in 2002.
Correct.
Thereabouts. And the question is, all right, if my home was at its maximum value in the peak or the fourth quarter of 2005, the first quarter of 2006, and started to head down, when do you think it'll come back up?
I'll get my crystal ball. I don't have that answer.
You don't have a crystal ball?
Because I don't have a crystal ball. However, one of the things that I think you can see is if you look at the historical trajectory of appreciation in the Twin Cities, and it had a fairly predictable increase over a 20 or 30 year period. And if you look on that, you'll see where it jumps way up in the 2004, 5, 6 range and then comes down. And then if you can plot that, you'll see that we're kind of back on a trajectory, I would say close to the end of the 2010s, we should start to see numbers like that again. But it's not going to be a rush up.
Some experts are saying 2016, some are saying 2021, some are saying 2026. I don't really know. Richard's crystal ball is a little cloudy, so's mine. But we're going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of factors that play into it. But take heart, we will get there. It'll happen. Just be patient if you can. Thanks so much for joining us today. I look forward to spending time with you on another quick question.
Have a quick question about residential real estate? Email it to us at quickquestion@daveoswaldhomes.com.